Hey, what's up you guys? So today I'm gonna let you guys know my top 5 favorite anime. Just keep in mind that these are my opinions. I'm not telling you that they're the best ones ever. These are just my personal top 5 animes. And if you disagree with some of these, or if there's one that you love that was not on the list and you're like, hey Lauren, this show is way better than the shows that you listed, then leave it in the comments down below and I'll give it a look. And maybe I'll make an update in one of these lists once I've become more well-versed in different animes. First things first, Pokemon. So yeah, Pokemon's a show that I've literally been in love with since I was a little kid. I know people usually don't include like Pokemon in their like top 5 anime lists, but like whatever. That I feel like it makes it like, I don't know, just holds a spot in our heart that like can't be replaced, I guess. I was always playing the games. Pokemon Sapphire is my favorite, by the way. I was always watching the show, always collected the cards, had the Ash pillowcase, the Ash poster, Ash action figure. I was obsessed. I think that it's amazing that a show can have the power to bring like so many people together. I mean, Pokemon's one of those things that like, I don't know, it was like almost everybody did it when we were younger and it was like everybody had it to talk about. Like even if you mention it now, people still get like geeked out about it. Even the kind of people that would normally be like, oh, like stuff like that's stupid. Like you mention Pokemon, they'd be like, Pokemon, sweet. All right, so the next anime on our list is going to be Death Note. So Death Note's another one that I feel like is really well known, and Death Note is basically about this high school student about to go college. He's like one of the smartest people in his class. He's a very like, I wouldn't say goody two-shoes, so I guess they don't really show you that, but it's kind of implied that he's this very like, do what you're told, like prized possession kid, you know what I mean? He finds this death note outside of school. And basically the death note, when you write somebody's name in the death note, they die. There's like a lot of other rules that surround it that are kind of unveiled during the show. And it becomes this thing where he ends up using it for good. And as I'm sure you can imagine, it's not something that is good, so it turns into a whole thing. There is an investigator who's a very big part of the show. L works against him kind of the whole time, so it's very much like a detective, like criminal anime, and it's just really smart. It's very smart how each character's plan plays out and how the plans clash and what's going on in each character's head, what they think is going on in other people's heads. It's just a really fun and intriguing one to follow, I guess. It's another very, very dark one. And I would say it's one, you do get connected to the characters, don't get me wrong, but it is one where you're a little bit more separated from the characters, but I think rightfully so. Because it's kind of, I think, designed so that you flip-flop who you like, who you're rooting for, because so many new people come into the mix and it's like, there are bad guys and there are good guys, but it's like, your attachment goes back and forth between good and bad. I just think it's incredible. It's very well done, very well done. All right, so for spot number 2 on our list, we actually have a tie. I couldn't decide between the 2 shows. I love them both so much. And honestly, they were both really strong competitors for first choice too, so this was super tough. But my first number 2 pick is going to be Clannad. And Clannad is, I don't really know how to explain it. I guess I would explain it as a romance for sure. It's a very innocent romance and a very dramatic representation. It revolves around high schoolers who are kind of the outcasts, I guess I would say, and they all kind of come together and they're all very different people, but it's just like a really interesting group of characters. There's a lot of really great character development. The main characters I love. I actually have not completed that one yet. I'm currently watching it right now, but I'm so obsessed with it, so passionate about it. I actually finished Clannad, and there's a second, I guess it's just more considered the second season, but it's called Clannad After Story. So that's what I'm watching right now. And they're both amazing. It's one of those shows where you sit down and you cannot stop watching it. Like you're like, oh, I'm just gonna watch an episode of Clannad. No, you end up watching like 10 and you're like, great, I wasted my whole day. Clannad will make you laugh. It's one of the funniest animes I've ever watched. It'll make you cry. It's definitely one of the saddest. And it's one that really kind of makes you think about life. One more thing I want to add for Clannad. It's got this really cool way of being animated. Like, it almost looks like you're watching a live action film. Like, not that the characters look live action, because the characters 100% look like anime characters, but it's like the scenery and the backgrounds are so detailed, and they do so much, like, I feel like you just notice kind of like filming technique. I mean, granted it's animated, but you notice a lot more film techniques in this anime that I feel like I do in most other ones. Like, it's a beautifully illustrated and done show. It's got a beautiful story. So yeah. And now for my other number 2 pick that tied with Clannad is One Piece. If you don't know what One Piece is about, it is about a teenage boy who dreams of being the pirate king. There's kind of this competition to find this treasure, One Piece, and to become the pirate king. And it's just his journey and his friends' journeys as he gains friends along the way. It's probably the longest one ever. Don't quote me on that because I'm not sure, but it's long. There are a ton of episodes out already. I don't even think they're halfway done with all the episodes that they're going to make. But on that show, I am definitely not very far. Probably maybe nearing episode 300. I still have a long way to go, but it's such a great show. And I feel like you kind of see a lot of people being like, oh, it's too long, it takes too long, but it's so worth it, you guys. It's another show where you can really connect to the characters so much. Like, the character development, backstories, I'm a sucker for backstories, and the backstories in this anime, man, they're insanely good. It's hilarious, it's extremely serious at times too, and it's just amazing. The characters are so lovable. When it comes to the emotional sides of One Piece, guys, I honestly don't know if a show has ever made me cry so hard. Maybe Clannad gets close. Clannad's pretty dark, but I mean, I guess my number 1 made me cry a lot too. All these animes are just such tear jerkers because you get so attached to the characters. All right, you guys, topping off our list at number 1 is Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. I love it. Another anime where the characters are just on point. Amazing characters, amazing character development. I honestly just think like animes have a way with making you relate and like the characters. It is so beautifully done, and it's so like deep and meaningful, and it's got action, it's got comedy, it's got tragedy, it's got heartache, heartbreak, you know? It's just such a great show. And again, if you've never seen Fullmetal Alchemist, it revolves around an alchemist, Edward Elric, and his little brother, Alphonse Elric, who is also an alchemist, and they, through a series of unfortunate events that occur in the first few episodes, it'll show you kind of like a flashback to their past and how they've gotten to where they're at. But they kind of get in a predicament where Alphonse, he's in this suit of armor, he loses his physical body, so his soul is like bound to this suit of armor, and Edward Elric loses an arm and a leg. So it's kind of this journey to try to kind of decipher a lot of things about alchemy and discover a lot of reasons of like, why did this happen to them? And there's just a bunch of discovery that goes along, like a lot of self-discovery in the characters. There are 2 different versions of Fullmetal Alchemist. There's Fullmetal Alchemist, which was made before the manga was completed, and they finished the story with a totally different storyline. So the one I recommend is Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, which is written true to the manga. So it is what the actual story is. And it's just got such cool characters. So like, I don't know, like dark and violent and very like, I would say like gruesome. There's a lot of really gruesome, like sick, twisted things in this show. But it's also so like bright and cheery sometimes at the same time. I don't know, it's amazing. It has a way of pulling at every emotion. And it's got a really cool kind of play on like God complex, and like there are people in it that kind of represent like all of like the sins and things like that. Another thing with Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood is it has some of the best theme songs I've ever heard. Amazing voice acting. I know I didn't really comment on this with the other shows. A lot of times I do prefer to watch them in Japanese with the English subtitles, but Fullmetal Alchemist, I actually thought that the English dub was amazing, so I did watch it in English. And for any of you that have watched Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, the ending though, I freaked out. The ending was beautiful. Like, I don't know, it just has such a beautiful like conclusion to a beautiful story. The last line is probably the best connection, summarization, teach you the lesson line of like any show I've ever seen. I don't know, Fullmetal Alchemist is one of those shows where I was literally on the edge of my seat, like my heart was racing through so many parts of it. And I guess I could say that too about Death Note. Like my heart was just racing, like I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. And I think that when a show can do that, it's done its job. When you're so connected and involved, that's when it's done its job. If in my film career I can ever make anything that makes me feel the way that that show like made me feel, then I have 100% succeeded. All right, you guys, thank you so much for watching my top 5 anime. Let me know if you want me to do any more of these top 5 videos, or if you want me to talk about some of these animes more in depth, if you want me to check out other ones and then talk to you guys about them, just let me know. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at Lauren Jane Films, Tumblr, Lauren Jane YouTube, and I make new videos every Sunday. You guys know the drill. Subscribe, give this video a big thumbs up, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.